Promotional consideration provided by Rockland Trust. David Rogers Electric. M. Duffany Builders. Eastman's Home and Hardware. Crane Appliance.
Hello, and welcome to Falmouth is Cooking. I'm Gail Blakely, your host for this half-hour show, where we talk about all things food, restaurants, professional chefs, home cooks, variety of different ways to learn more about the Falmouth food scene, which is really coming up to be quite the food scene at this point. And today I have a special guest. Actually I have two special guests. I have Tommy Pontolilo from Romeos restaurant.
Yep.
And he's coming up on 1 year in the location which is on Route 28 on Main
Yep.
Street, is that what?
75 Davis Straits.
Yes, 75 Davis Straits, okay. And I'm very pleased to have him. He has been featured in my column once, I think, and I hope another time, because I really do think that he's one of our most talented local chefs. So I appreciate you taking the time on your day off, especially to come in. But before we get going, I want to introduce you to somebody else, the namesake of the restaurant. And this is Romeo. Little Romeo is having a nice day here. He says that he's going to supervise us, and we're all going to be really happy with what we're going to be eating. He says he knows that his dad is a good cook. It's all set. All right. Thank you for bringing him. Also,
Absolutely.
I appreciate that.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, okay. All right. So we're going to get started. We have pierogi.
Yep.
And we're going to do the dough, we're going to do the filling, we're going to talk about pesto and crema, oregano butter, and look at this. This is quite the grown-up pierogies from what my Nana used to make, and some cherry tomato jam, which not all of which we will be making on camera, but you brought some stuff prepped and certainly can answer any questions that we have. These recipes will also be on the screen. And if you have any questions, you can certainly get in touch with us at the studio here, or go to the restaurant, even better.
Even better.
Even better, absolutely. But before we get started with the cooking, I just wanted to have you talk a little bit about the concept of the culture, the hospitality culture, because I was really impressed by that when you talked to me about that last time. Can you say a little bit more about why that's important to you?
Absolutely. I grew up, and I have very supportive parents who have always been behind me. As I've opened the restaurant, they've both been very intricate in helping me succeed. But when I was younger and I didn't really have a direction of what I wanted to do when I grew up, my first job was washing dishes at the Back Eddy in Westport. And I really first fell in love with that culture, and it was the older guys, the camaraderie, the feeling of belonging to something important. And the inclusion of really working together as a team to achieve and be able to see a high quality food go out and to see people enjoy. Really something that you made with your own hands. As I got a little older, I got more into the food aspect and flavors and texture, but I always look back and think about the culture and the way that it made me feel. And I remember, being younger, thinking that one day I wanted my own place, more so that I could teach and inspire young people like my chefs before me had inspired me, in a positive way.
Wow.
So,
Terrific.
I really think that in this day and age, this is a great time for young people to get into crafts and trades, and I think there's a lot of opportunity to kind of inspire people that are maybe looking to get into something new and fresh.
And it really permeates, doesn't it? I mean, it starts at the top with you as the owner and the chef and the executive chef, and then sort of titrates down to all of your folks who enjoy working, and they seem happy.
Yeah.
Which is really wonderful.
It's a small restaurant. It's definitely a very tight-knit community restaurant, and we have just started to bring in our summer staff, so we have training, and I feel like one of the benefits of having like a smaller, tight-knit crew is we, kind of come together as a family a bit more in a positive way.
Making family meal all the more
Yeah.
all the more special. Family meal
Absolutely.
is what restaurants usually do before service
Yep.
starts, right? So,
When we go through our pre-shift training.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. So I think that makes you a little different than a lot of other places. So I do appreciate your explaining that. And what did you think, Mr. Romeo? He says, I'm just snoozing back here.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get started
Great.
with our pierogies.
All right.
You grew up. How did you come across? Why did you decide to make pierogi one of your main dishes?
I've
Pontolilo is not not ending in a ski.
this is kind of an interesting dish for me because there's a lot of different techniques and there's a lot of different flavor profiles. So pierogies, as you know, are typically a Polish food, but I kind of added my Italian heritage into the flavors. So when I was originally I was thinking about a ravioli, but I wanted something that was a little crispy and a little bit dynamic. So I thought pierogies would be really interesting and something that somebody would recognize.
Cool.
But be able to use some of the ingredients and express them in a different way.
Okay.
So
Good.
you'll see there's a few different techniques to making this. So.
All right. So let's get started.
All right. So the first thing we're going to do, I've measured out all the ingredients. So we're going to take water.
How much?
I weigh everything on a baking scale
okay.
Just to make it easier for my employees to make sure that everything is done consistently.
Consistently.
So we have 115 grams of water
Okay.
and 50 grams of butter.
And for our purposes, this recipe is going to be in the volumes rather than when it's on screen. But should people want that, like I said before, you can always get in touch with us, and we can give you the real deal.
Okay.
Okay, so that's going to move over to this one, you think?
Yep, that's great.
Okay. And so power is on, and it's hard to see in here with the lights. There you go. Yeah. Okay.
Now we're just going to bring this up to melt the
Okay.
butter because we want the water to go into the flour warm,
Okay.
but not too hot that it's going to melt the Parmesan cheese in the dough.
Okay.
So I am going to add to the stand mixer about 2 cups of flour, just regular all-purpose flour.
Smells good. Butter.
About
It's good.
About 3/4 of a cup of very finely shredded Parmesan cheese. And we will take 1 egg.
May I turn this off now?
Yes, please. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
And just a healthy pinch of salt into the dough. So as you can see, the butter is melted. We're just going to let it stand for a few seconds just to make sure that it's not too hot going into the flour.
Okay.
And then from here, I'm going to raise this up and just start this very slowly so the ingredients kind of mix. Once our water is the proper temperature, we will just slowly drizzle this in.
Okay. I think this is really cool. It sort of brings a one-pan meal
Yep.
to a whole different level
And
because we've got so much to add to it. Yeah, what were you going to say?
yeah, it is. It's really nice to be able to do this, and we're going to use the same. I have these made in pans. They're really nice. We use do a lot of different things at the restaurant. We use it for fried rice. We use it for all our sautéed dishes.
Yep.
The handles stay nice and cool. They're very they're heavy, so they sear things very nicely.
Wow.
And the covers are very nice because we're going to steam these later.
Good.
Steam them up.
Good. And covers are always good in case there's a fire and you want to do something really quickly. Tell me about the spoons. We were talking about these spoons before. I realized that these spoons were becoming very popular after watching The Bear.
Yeah.
Because, of course, that's what Carmi uses.
Yep.
So can you tell us about, this is the, what's
So
the label?
it's called Great Coons.
K-U-H-N?
K-U-N-Z.
K-U-N-Z. Okay.
And he was a chef in New York and wanted to develop the perfect spoon for plating. So the theory is it carries the perfect amount of sauce that you want to serve, so you're not over saucing dishes. It is balanced so that it fits well in your hand. And if you notice, it comes to a point,
Yep.
so you want to pour the sauce off the front of it instead of
Okay.
pouring off to the side, so you have more precision. So you have more pretty and beautiful looking dishes.
So, and this is for plating. This is for when we
Plating,
put the sauce in.
we use them for cooking and
Stirring
serving.
and cooking
Yeah.
and tasting. And,
Yep.
Yeah.
But
And you've got a bunch of them, you said.
I
different
have
ones.
I have at least 12.
Yeah. Do you have the one with the flat?
I don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
I use that one a lot for deglazing, so that I'm scraping up all the
Yeah.
stuff. Although this would just be fine too. Okay.
Big a lot of times at home I use cast iron pans and I use a lot of wooden spoons. So I have a whole collection of wooden spoons that I use for everything. So
All over the world, probably.
it's either
from your
Great
travels.
Coons or wooden
Yeah.
spoons for me.
Okay. All right. So what's going on in there?
So you can kind of see the dough is coming together. Now, I would think of this kind of like a pasta dough, where we want to develop the gluten in here. So it is going to take a few minutes to
Okay.
really come together. And by mixing it very well, it is going to develop that chewiness, very signature to like a pasta dough.
Okay. And once again, as I've said before many times on this show and in my teaching career, one of the most important things that you can have in the kitchen, certainly as a talented chef, and nice spoon,
Yeah.
spoons, but also patience. And that, I think that is so underrated for people when they say,
Absolutely.
what can I do? Well, how can I make my cooking better? The first thing to think about is be patient. You know, when you put your food in and you're nudging it and moving it around, just let it be, take a step back. I think that's so important.
You got to give it time to do its own thing.
All right.
So you can see the dough's starting to come together.
Okay.
We can
Can
turn
we
it
hold
off.
that up just for a minute to
Yeah.
the camera? Cool. Yeah. Okay. There. All right.
So I am going to just pull this off the hook
Okay.
and
Hand knead.
oh well, I'm just gonna let it reincorporate just to
Okay.
make sure that we're getting all that flour in there.
Okay. And back there.
Yeah. Just gonna throw it in.
And with the magic of television, of course, we already have some done. And we even have some pierogies all made and ready to steam.
Ready to go.
Ready to go.
So that'll help introduce this a little quicker, but you really do want to mix this for a good 10 minutes overall, just to make sure that you get that nice chewiness.
What do you think, Mr. Romeo?
He loves it. It's the official taste tester.
I bet. I bet. And you've had him 13 years?
13 years. He was a rescue living in New Orleans, and he was a street dog. I'm sure he went pretty easily, but they caught him and they shipped him up to Boston I got him in Framingham from a shepherd rescue. As soon as I walked in, I saw him, and he was happy to see me. I knew he was coming home. I've had him ever since. He was supposedly around 6 months old, and he's been with me for 13 years now. He's been a very loyal companion.
Of course he is. Of course he is. And he gets walks and treats. And he comes to the restaurant every day, right?
Every day, we upstairs we have an office, very large, and he comes in every day. He sleeps in the office. He kind of crunches the numbers, and Originally, as we were kind of developing the concept for the restaurant, I thought of Romeo as going to be this figure. So he was going to be, he would send out a splash of prosecco or send out dessert, and like, oh, this is from Romeo, and like, who is Romeo? Are you Romeo? But Romeo's, in all honesty, he was sleeping in his dog bed upstairs, and no one was going to know. But it's quickly a common knowledge that Romeo is the namesake, but also my companion.
And your best friend.
And my best friend.
All right.
All right, so now that we have the dough, really important, before you start to work with it, you want to relax. So I am just going to press this together and wrap this up nice and tight.
Let's get this off so that we can see it. Because it's black. Thank you. You have one of these little ones with the cutter, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Magic ones.
So we're just going to wrap this up.
Okay.
And this is, it needs to rest in the refrigerator for at least an hour, preferably up to 4 hours, but you can keep this overnight.
Okay.
We like to make this in large batches because, in the summer we sold a lot of pierogies.
How long has this been on the menu? Ever since you started?
You know what? We had it on the menu when we opened. We currently have taken it off because it's got more summery flavors, but it will be coming back soon. A lot of times I like to not bring back similar dishes. So we have an opportunity to change it up.
Okay.
But it's been so popular and it's been something that people have asked for that I feel like we should definitely bring a new iteration to the summer menu this year.
Good. So this version, if we can use that word, is the one that you've made before.
Absolutely.
And you're going to be you think you're going to do something a little different?
You know what? I guess we'll wait and see see what comes to us.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what's next?
So the next step, I have some dough that was already made, and we are going to roll it out into sheets. So I have, in the same step, we have the KitchenAid. I have this KitchenAid roller, and I am going
Machine, isn't it? The KitchenAid.
going to grab
think
the
it's in the,
flour.
Right down here.
Excellent. Thank you.
Our stager didn't throw it out, I thought.
So the first thing we're going to do, I have this dough was made earlier, and I took, after it's cooled, split it into 4 pieces.
Okay.
So we will put a little bit of flour on our surface and a little bit of flour on top. Now, before you start to roll it out, you want to let it sit at room temperature for about 20 to 30 minutes.
And this has been.
This has been sitting out. So that's going to allow it to rest. It's going to be a little bit more pliable. So as we roll this out, it won't. It'll stretch more and it won't break and shred as much. Um, Again, this is kind of similar to like a pasta, so you want it to be able to stretch, but the high gluten from the mixing is going to, if it's too cold, it'll snap.
Ah, okay. So this is all-purpose unbleached flour.
Yep,
Okay.
just very,
It's not bread
well,
flour with the higher gluten? Or
no, I use, for this recipe, I just use regular AP flour. We use King Arthur's brands because I really believe that they do make a well-intentioned flour, unbleached, preserves a little bit more of the health in the brand. So just very important for us. Like,
Now, you've started baking too.
oh yeah,
And I had some focaccia, I think, last time I was there.
yeah,
It was wonderful.
excellent.
And do you do that with a bread flour, or is that
Yep,
just?
we use bread flour
You
for
use
the
bread flour.
focaccia. Yeah, we actually the woman from the building department in Falmouth gave me a starter that is sourdough starter that was from the 70s. So it's been around a while.
Wonderful.
And she came in after we opened. She came to friends and family, and she was bowled over. So, Paula, thank you.
There you go. Shout
Yeah,
out.
and yeah, it's in our focaccia.
I'm a bread baker,
Hmm.
but I am, I don't want to say, I don't know how to say this exactly, but I kill all the sourdough starters that I get. So I've done a lot of sourdough. I've done during the pandemic, certainly.
Yep,
I did some
absolutely.
dropping all over Falmouth, dropping off starter for people.
Yeah.
And then I don't know whether it's my water at my house, my well water. I've tried using spring water. I've tried, and every time I go to get it, it just is black and disgusting and really bad.
What I find, it's easier for me in a restaurant than it is at my house.
Really?
Because when I feel like at my house I'm not baking quite as often, or if especially where it's just me and Romeo, and he doesn't eat a whole lot of bread.
Right.
So we don't bake enough, and then it'll be forgotten about.
Yeah.
But we bake a lot of bread at Romeos, so like we
The starter is
constantly under observation, and I see it every day, and
Do you have an assigned chef who does that? Or is it
I
you?
I bake most of
You
it,
bake.
yeah, because as it's a kind of a newer recipe for us right now, or for me right now.
Yeah.
I'm very hands-on with a lot of stuff, so
And
I've
you've got
been,
that lovely wood fire, don't you?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
man. Yes, that's enough to make you want to bake. Sure. All right.
All right, so we're gonna start rolling this through. Now, I rolled this out just enough so we can start to get it through the sheeter. I'm gonna start it on a slower speed, and you want to start it as large as possible. And we're gonna run it through a couple times.
Okay.
Now you do is little by little, because if you go from too large to too small, it will rip and it will tear.
Absolutely.
And we're also going to make sure that we are covering this with flour so it does not.
So what number are you starting it at?
So we're going to start at 1,
Okay.
and then we're going to run it through about 3 times on 1.
Okay.
And then as we start to go down, you can kind of go bring up the speed a little bit more.
Somebody's waking up back here.
He had a nice little nap.
Yeah, he did. Now he's looking in the cabinet saying, "Oh, I'll take a taste of what's there."
So I ran this through 3 times. Now I'll drop this down to the next setting. And from here, we're probably going to run it through twice on each side
Okay.
before dropping it again.
Do you want a cutting board, or are you okay using that surface?
I'll use the surface. I find like the flatter, smoother is easier.
Better than a
Sometimes the cutting boards, if it's when it picks up little nicks,
Yeah.
it'll catch.
Okay.
So typically, like I will cut these out on our stainless steel or wooden table,
Okay.
but something that we don't cut on.
It's just amazing how it comes together. Just those simple ingredients.
A little flour, a little water.
Oh. An egg, a little butter.
Yep. And I really like the Parmesan cheese in the dough. I find it brings out a little when you're roasting them in the pan, because we do like to crisp these up. You get a little bit of that caramelization from the cheese on the dough as well. So you get Parmesan on the inside, and then you have Parmesan on the outside. This might be a good time for a cutting board. So I don't,
Yes?
Yeah, just so I don't
Okay.
tear up the counter. Like I said, I use stainless steel
Yeah.
tables, so they take a little bit more abuse.
Okay.
Thank you.
And most ravioli doughs would not have the Parmesan in it,
Nope.
right? Okay.
Yeah, a lot of times you just use like semolina and egg yolk for raviolis. So this would be sacrilege with the flour and
Okay.
Parmesan and
Yeah.
butter.
All right. And we don't want to be sacrilegious in any shape or form.
You know, I like to
Do we, Romeo?
have a little fun though.
Oh, good. You should.
Do take a little leniencies when coming up with creative naming stuff, because I want it to sound interesting and you know, kind of point people in the direction that we're thinking of, without being too hung up on keeping things to like a very strict. You know, people understand what chicken Parmesan is. Well, what do you think chicken Parmesan could be while still retaining the integrity?
Integrity of the original, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So take liberties.
And this recipe we were talking earlier calls for a couple of wonderful and delicious and interesting twists. This is a sweet potato pierogi with maitake mushrooms, and Tommy wasn't able to get some, or what you had was worth bringing in. So
Yep, we had gotten some, and you know, they really weren't up to our quality. So we just decided that we were going to get oyster mushrooms today because they were much better quality and something that we were really more proud
to serve.
Yeah.
And then we're doing a basil crema, and again, the basil was not as available as we would like. It was, I guess what was available was pretty black.
I used all the basil for the
For
pesto.
the pesto, okay.
And then when I went to go get some more for garnish today, we couldn't find anything nice and beautiful, so we're just going to put that on hold for now.
That's fine, that's fine. And then we have cherry tomato jam and hazelnuts. So you get going with this, and then we'll talk some about the hazelnuts and how you tie it all together.
So we're going to start. I like to use the scoop so that...
Cookie scoop.
Yeah. And the best part of it is that, if we're cutting everything the same size and you're using a scoop as opposed to trying to eye it out, you get the same size every single time, and your guests get the same amount. I want to make sure that when people come in to eat, they are getting the same thing every single day. And it would be horrible if they got a half-filled pierogi.
Yes. Or if they were sitting there and said, my pierogi has more filling than your pierogi.
Yep. So I am placing this a little bit off-center. And that is going to help us fold these later.
Okay. Are we going to crimp them with a fork? Or?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
We've folded them a bunch of different ways, and this is definitely the way that I have found holds up the best.
Okay.
And it looks nice too.
Okay. Smells good.
So we have sweet potato with onion and chipotle, some more Parmesan cheese, and just a little bit of salt to taste. The idea is kind of have this like as the pierogi steam, the Parmesan gets a little melty. You get a little bit of smoky and spicy. I love a little bit of spice in my cooking. Excuse me.
Sure.
And chipotle really pairs well with the sweet potato.
I bet. I haven't thought about that, but that sounds interesting. I better try a little bit of this. I'm sure there are other things you can do with this filling too. Right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow. That's really good.
Yeah, nice and creamy, and like the flavor really dramatically changes as as it warms up and the cheese melts.
We done with this?
Yep.
Excuse me, Mr. Romeo.
I am going to take out a towel because as we're going to brush half of this side with egg wash and fold this over.
Okay.
Now, as you go, you want to make sure that you can wipe clean, and you also want to make sure that there is no extra egg on the cutting board, so the egg won't stick.
Huh. Okay.
Because if it gets a little wet, these will stick and they won't be nice.
Oh, and then you pull them up and they tear.
And they'll tear, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And these are a lot of work, and it's horrible when
Oh God. Yeah.
you know your AM prep cook makes a bunch of pierogies, and then the me at nighttime
Goes to.
ruins them and has to eat them for dinner.
Oh. And you, Romeo, do you have a few little pierogies? No, he says, I have my dog food. Yeah.
Every once in a while, he gets a little
A
hamburger
little,
and rice.
okay.
That's his meal.
Yeah.
His little hamburger and a little rice.
It's good.
That's what he likes for when he's been a good dog.
I give my dog steak and eggs. How's that?
Ooh.
I know. And now, well, not so many eggs anymore. Believe me.
Yeah. Eggs are tough right now.
Really crazy times.
Daily, I'm out there trying to make deals to try and because I really like working with eggs, and I like to come up with dishes that around, and also feel like it's a strange day when eating eggs is a luxury as opposed to an everyday thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I wanted to, after we came back from our break, do a deviled egg or a Scotch egg, and just have been totally unable to source them. Never mind.
Wow.
But working with the purveyors daily to make sure that we have a very nice brunch on Sundays.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. So, what are some of the dishes that you offer at brunch?
We do a red flannel hash, or it's a take on a red flannel hash, which is we make a Thai-style pastrami, and then make hash with potatoes and macabra turnips and beets, and the beets kind of run and make this flannel or tie-dye effect.
Yeah, yeah. Ooh, yeah.
Which is very
Cool.
nice visually, but it's super tasty. That's definitely been one of our more popular. We have a weekly Benedict that changes whatever is available and fresh. We've done lobster and short rib and Jonah crab. And a new dish that I'm very happy to start. It's a take on an Italian dish called eggs in purgatory. Very similar to a shashuka, but with
Spicy tomato sauce.
spicy tomato sauce. The eggs are baked right in with a little bit of fennel sausage with Calabrian chilies. So it's very nice. And
Ooh,
we
I
serve
bet.
it with some of our new focaccia as well.
Yeah, yeah. For dipping into that wonderful sauce.
Oh, yeah.
Oh God, yeah. Good.
Yeah.
We're sleeping again here. We are sleeping. Aren't we sleeping? You don't have to get up. You do not have to get up. That's why I'm not helping with the pierogi, because I keep petting you. So I think it's a good thing that I don't have to keep washing my hands every time. Yeah. Yes. Okay, and we have pesto.
Yep.
There's our mushrooms.
So the pesto that we make, I've never been a big fan of pine nuts. And I worked for a chef
Yeah.
who his pesto had hazelnuts, and I fell in love with it. So I love basil and I love pesto in theory, but I never really liked pine nuts myself. So I chose to kind of follow in his footsteps. So we toast the hazelnuts, And for our pesto, we grind the hazelnuts up until they're very small, and then add garlic and basil, a good amount of olive oil, and finally, after everything's mixed very well,
Yeah.
just a toss of Parmesan cheese in there. You can also use Pecorino Romano,
Yeah.
which adds a very nice salty flavor.
And these are the hazelnuts.
So these are hazelnuts. They're just toasted off in the oven.
Smell wonderful.
They're amazing.
Whoa.
They're so decadent and rich and lovely.
I wish we had smell-o-vision, but we don't. We don't. Maybe before I'm done, maybe that's something that we'll be
Maybe.
getting. Who knows?
One can only dream.
One can only dream, absolutely. And then let's talk about the tomatoes, if we could.
So
Cherry
this is kind of cool. We do a cherry tomato jam, and which is a bit of a southern take tomato jam. It's done in a little bit different way because I roast the cherry tomatoes just to get them blistered, and then toss them with a little bit of white balsamic, some fresh thyme leaf, and honey, and just very lightly cook it down so that the sugar cooks into a very nice, kind of sweet, tangy, almost like an agridulce.
Ooh, nice.
The flavor is really nice. It complements, especially where the pierogies and the crema are very rich. This cuts through that and
Wow, yeah.
adds a layer of
This
depth.
is so wonderful to have. This is one of those things that if you have it in your refrigerator, just want to have lunch, slice a piece of bread, toast it, put some ricotta or some even cottage cheese on it, and then top it with that. Lovely, just
And these will
wonderful.
stay good. So, if you, in the summer, when you get some nice cherry tomatoes from your garden,
Yep.
you can roast them off with this, and they'll stay in your
Absolutely.
refrigerator
Yep.
for a week
Yep.
very
Yeah.
nicely.
A jam, a compote, whatever. Yes, yeah, looks beautiful.
All right.
Okay,
So our
here we
pierogies are done.
Okay.
And I am going to swap these out because
These need to sit.
these do best if they sit and are cooked from cold,
Okay.
as opposed to
Okay.
fresh from the pan. 'Cause
So
they
should we-
need to set a little
Should we put them in one of these and let them chill?
bit. Yeah. Well, I will take this out.
Okay.
Why don't we swap these?
Okay.
So these
Oh,
are already
okay.
made.
Yep.
We
Gotcha.
can put these on the little shelf right here.
Okay. What is this called?
This is a half hotel pan.
Okay. I'm not at all trained in being a chef.
Could have fooled me.
No, but I just don't know the words, so I'm learning new words. And we were learning new words today with the television mics and everything else, and, trying to figure out what's what here. So
I'm just going to sprinkle this with a little bit of flour to make sure that it doesn't get too moist in the refrigerator.
Okay,
And then,
and in they go.
and like I said, I made
Okay.
these a little earlier.
Perfect. Okay. What do you think, Mr. Romeo? Thinking okay?
All right. So now that our pierogies are done, we are ready to start cooking.
Okay.
So,
This is another one of the tools that is so useful.
it is,
And
really
a
is.
lot of people don't think about it. Just an offset spatula.
And nice and small, and I brought it today because it comes in handy a lot of times when you don't realize that you're gonna need it, but it's so handy to have because it's small. You can get into the little crevices, and
I made brownies the other day, the almond flour brownies, again from King Arthur website, and was able to push down the edges so it was nice and flat, and then use that to just get it out of the pan. I mean, it's a wonderful, wonderful tool.
yeah.
Okay. All right, so where are we now? We're going to go
Okay.
back to our pan here.
So, yep. We're going to first. Is this the burner we're using?
Right here.
Okay.
Power, and then,
We'll start with a little bit of olive oil in the middle. And while it is a little hotter, we'll put our mushrooms in.
okay,
Said we have some
oyster.
mushrooms. There is, they've been tossed with a little oil and garlic and a little miso paste.
Ah, I knew there was something different in there.
Little bit of umami.
Umami. And maitake, is that how, am I saying that correctly?
Yep.
Is that, what type of mushroom is that?
They're
Is
also
it
known-
similar?
Yep. Oh yeah, they look very similar.
Oh, okay.
They're also known as hen of the woods.
Oh, yes,
So
of
you have
course.
the chicken of the woods, which are orange, and then the maitake are
Yeah.
the hen of the woods,
Yeah.
which are brown. And you can find those locally around here.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, especially at farmers markets.
yep, all the time.
Okay.
And especially if you get nice quality farm maitakes, they're delicious.
Really?
They're
Yeah.
super rich.
Yeah. I think mushrooms are one of the best things.
They're one of my favorite things to play
Oh,
with. They're so
really,
versatile.
truly,
And, all right, so we are going to start.
Okay.
Spread the oil out. You can hear a little sizzle. We don't need too many because it is a pierogi dish after all. It's not a mushroom dish.
Keep the integrity.
Yeah. You know, I will turn this up a little bit.
And this is, the pierogies are going to be steamed or,
So we're gonna, after we sear one side, we'll flip them over,
Yes.
and then we'll crisp up the pierogies on one
Okay.
side, and then we're gonna steam them. Very similar to like you'd steam like a dumpling.
yeah. Nice. You're having a good day here, aren't you, Romeo? You are just having a time. He says, I like this kitchen floor.
You see we get a little bit of a light golden color, because these are also gonna color on the other side when we add the pierogies, so
Okay.
it doesn't need to be too hard to sear.
Okay.
And we will lay these in.
And these have been chilling for how long, Tommy?
Just about an hour, a couple hours.
Okay.
I made these this morning. If they're kept nice and dry, they can last overnight, but they do not stay indefinitely in
In the refrigerator.
refrigerator.
Yeah.
And you want to make sure that you're getting them into the oil
Okay.
so that they do not, if they're dry, they'll scorch very quickly.
Huh, okay.
I'll throw this. This was going to be a snack.
Okay.
You notice there's not a ton of oil in there. You don't want it to be too greasy because after we steam them, we're going to throw a little bit of this flavored butter in there. So that is my garlic butter. It's olive oil, raw garlic, oregano, some chili flakes. It's blended and then basically melted in the butter. Not enough to fully cook the raw garlic out of it. And I use this a lot for flavoring. So we're gonna like basically toss the pierogies in this.
Okay. Oh, look how nicely browned. Yeah.
Just get a little
yeah.
crisp on them.
This is so amazing to me always. I'm just so impressed with the idea of having something like this. It's just going to elevate the dish.
Yeah.
You know, you can have it have it in the restaurant, go home and say, I'm going to do that, and I make my garlic butter, but oregano, chili flakes, you know, I mean, just really makes a difference when you know what you're doing.
A lot of practice. So I'm gonna give this a little squirt of water while the pan's hot.
Okay,
And we're gonna cover it,
okay.
and it only takes about 20 to 30 seconds. They
Okay.
really do steam and
Wow.
heat up
okay.
very quickly.
And your oil is 90-10? What is?
So this is olive oil.
Olive oil,
Yep.
okay.
I use just olive oil.
You don't use the 90-10 blend?
I use a canola oil blend for anything that I cook in a Mediterranean style.
I see.
I use olive oil for,
Okay.
but if it's more of my Asian dishes, I'll use canola. Because I just don't want to add too much of the, you know, you want to use other things like sesame oil for
Yeah,
flavoring.
yeah.
But-
All right.
And then you can see these
Yep,
are steamed off.
right on there, it can go. Yeah, that's okay.
Now is a great time to add in just a little bit
The
of
magic.
this butter. Yeah.
The magic.
I want to mix it up really nice so you get all of the components.
Oh my goodness, that is gorgeous. I bet that makes some pretty good garlic bread,
Oh yeah,
garlic
it,
focaccia.
it really does.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to take my spatula and make sure that everything is
Moves.
free. Yes. Sometimes when there's a little bit of water in the pan, they will stick a little bit,
Yep.
and you don't want to rip them off. And now these are done. We're just going to move these around a little bit just to make sure that the butter is covered,
Okay,
and we can turn this off.
okay. We don't need it again?
Nope. Next we're going to,
Okay.
next we're going to plate it up. These are all set.
Okay.
You can eat these straight from the pan right now.
Okay,
I'm just going to.
okay.
So I'm going to start. This is our basil crema.
Okay.
Love using the squeeze bottles. It gives you a little bit of a little bit more control than, especially at home. You know, these are cheap. You can get them off Amazon, or they have them at hairdressing specialty stores.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Interesting.
Very cheap. So, you know, typically I use the larger bottles for oils or things that you use long term. The smaller bottles for the more, you know, sauces,
Yep.
more delicate stuff.
Cool. Wow.
And then we will lay these out.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Really nice. And our basil, our pesto was fresh basil, garlic, Parmesan.
A little. So after you have your pesto, you take sour cream. I use a white balsamic quite frequently, so it adds a little sweetness and tanginess to it. If you don't have white balsamic, you can use a little lemon juice.
Ah, okay. But I find that red balsamic very often will discolor
Yes.
whatever I'm doing. So I really prefer the white.
My issue with balsamic, you know, it's very. A good balsamic should be very expensive. There's really no way to, because
And it should be very good
it
and
should
very
be very,
expensive.
and it should be very good. It should be like you know, syrupy and sweet and acidic. You know, people who make balsamic don't do so by accident. They do it on purpose. Because they want a high quality product. And a lot of the balsamics you find on the market are just made very quickly. They're made to be mass produced.
Caramel sauce, caramel
Yeah.
sugar boiled down.
And you know, if you try and reduce your, you know, cheap balsamic at home, you start to develop these off flavors. So, I do like the white. It's a little lighter and fruitier, but as much as I love real balsamic, we don't work with it too much unless we're getting the real good stuff.
Yeah, yeah, which is $50 a bottle, if not more.
Our last one for 275 milliliters was $93 a bottle. So.
Well, that's a lot.
But you only need a little. You don't
Yeah.
need you don't need
Yeah.
too much.
That's true. That is true. Tell me about the hazelnuts again, because you had a good story about that with the pesto.
So like I said, I love using hazelnuts in my pesto because I'm not a big fan of pine nuts, and I love the richness that they add to it. So I put it in the pesto, and then the pesto becomes an ingredient in the crema. And to make sure
Which
that
is that?
when to make sure when our guests come out, because we always want to take guests' health seriously.
Of course.
You know, we label specifically that hazelnuts are on the dish, but I love to use them as a garnish. So just in case,
Yep.
you know, there's a miscommunication, you know, as they go down in front, you can see them with your eyes.
Yep.
And, oh no, if
I have
if
an
there's
allergy,
yeah,
right,
because it's my worst fear that somebody gets sick at
Oh,
the
of course.
restaurant.
Of course.
All right, so we got our cherry tomato jam. I'm going to take some of these toasted hazelnuts and just crush them with my fingers and spread them over.
And those were toasted just 400 oven
Just,
for
yep,
until they
toasted for a
get
few minutes.
light
You want them nice
and
and golden brown. You don't want too much, don't want them any darker than this.
Mm-hmm.
The more toasted you bring them, the more flavor. But then there's
that line where
there's
they
a
get,
line where
they get
they're bitter. And,
they get funky.
yeah. So we have some crushed hazelnuts, and I'm just going to microplane a little bit of Parmesan over the top.
Okay.
And if we were able to get some fresh basil today, there would be a little bit of chiffonade basil as well. But
That's all right.
we're very happy with this.
We are very happy with that. That is just gorgeous. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And then we get to sample. All right. So here you go, kiddo.
Thank you very much.
See what this is like here. I don't think it needs, yeah, the basil would be nice, but, and you want to get a little bit of everything, right?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So you can kind of get a bunch of, you know, different layers of flavor.
These are not my Nana's pierogi. Very nice.
Yeah.
The little bit of adobe pepper
Yeah.
in the sweet potatoes.
Just a-
Fabulous.
You know, I love spice personally, and I realize that not everybody has the same tolerance that I do. So I like to add a little spice to keep things interesting. And the chipotle has a bit of smokiness, a little bit of sweetness, and a nice, you know, kind of fiery
Yeah.
pepper
Oh, it's wonderful.
that isn't overwhelming. So
Terrific.
thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, we know where we have to go to eat next. Thank you, Tom.
Can't wait to see that.
This was terrific. And I want to say that all of the recipes that you'll have on the screen, I am hugely impressed with this. And you have this recipe for oregano butter here, and I am going home and making this. I really am. This is fabulous. Really like that. So I thank you.
Great to keep in your kitchen, especially in the summer.
Yes, yes. I thank you. I think that this was wonderful learning. We even learned how to master the stupid induction, but what can I say? And Romeo, what do you think? Romeo says,
Rome.
I am sleeping. I'm not interested right now. So thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you to my crew who makes everything work except the induction, because that's my job. And I thank you especially. You're a very talented chef, and Falmouth should appreciate you.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very
And
happy to
that's
be here.
it. You're very welcome. And we'll see you again.